Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's Lunch with Haley webinar, Creating a Killer Staffing Website, Lessons for 2012. I'm David Stearns, CEO of Haley Marketing Group, and it's my pleasure to have the opportunity to spend the next 60 minutes or so with you to talk a little bit about what's going on in the world of website design and specifically how that applies to the staffing industry. And in preparation for today's webinar, I was actually looking back at the last time we taught this workshop, Creating a Killer Staffing Website, and it was about 2.5 years ago that we taught it. And I was absolutely astonished just at the difference in technology, what's going on in the staffing industry in terms of website design, and even in our own process for building websites. Here at Haley Marketing Group, we've been designing sites since 2003, so we're closing in on a decade of doing this. And just in the last 2 years, the differences in approach in terms of how sites are built, the technology underlying the sites, things that we're doing to drive traffic to rank well with search engine has radically changed. And what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about a lot of the things that we've learned and how you can apply those same lessons to your firm and either improving or rebuilding your own company's site. But before we get started in the lessons, let's first take a look at the key question: does your staffing website suck? All right, so let's take a look at some of the ways you can tell if it's time to build a new website. First and foremost, does your site instantly tell people what you do? I'm astonished by the number of websites I visit from people who are in the staffing industry, whose salespeople send a great message about the company, and I go to their website and I can't instantly tell what they do. More importantly, I can't instantly get a strong message about the company. I'll see a vanilla, we're just like everybody else. I was working about 2 weeks ago with a company in Philadelphia, helping them to evaluate all of their competitors. And part of the research that I did is I went and looked at about a dozen websites and did an analysis of what the competition was saying. And we wrote down all of the positioning messages. Well, guess what? If you put these dozen companies side by side, strip the names off the top, you could hardly tell one company from the next. These companies, which are all very good staffing firms, nobody had a strong message that made them stand out. Nobody had the right message about their company, something that truly encapsulated what made their organization different, unique, better than, faster than, smarter than, more responsive than, what made them stand out from the competition. Another way to tell if your site has problems is if it's not compelling visitors to take action. Are you strongly engaging people in your site so that they take the next step, not just to visit you, but that a candidate will apply for a job, that an employer will contact you? If you're not compelling visitors to take action, your website sucks. Is it easy to navigate? We've seen a lot of trends happen in the world of website navigation, and we're seeing some new trends that have just started to become popular. But you want to make your navigational structure easy, and physically the way you make the navigation options appear on the site to make it really easy. I can't tell you how many websites I've seen that you may start down a path of navigation from page 1 to 2 to 3, and then you find out I can't get back to page 1 or I can't get back to page 2, or options that are on page 2 don't match the options that are on page 3 because the website was built in pieces. That's not easy to navigate, that's just confusing. And when your candidates get confused, when your clients get confused, they leave. They don't stick around. They go on to the next website. All right, so how else can you tell if your website sucks? Are you ranking well with the search engines? Are you ranking well for key search terms based on the industries you serve, the geographic market you serve? And I'm going to talk about this more later, but just importantly, are you seeing a constantly increasing volume of traffic coming from search engines? And not just for 1, 2, or 3 terms, but dozens or hundreds or even thousands of different keyword phrases driving traffic to your website. Are you attracting the right high-quality clients and candidates? You're going to see some examples in a little bit of how companies are using their website to recruit. And one specific example that I'm really proud to show is a physician recruiting website that has found a way to use their site to make it their highest ROI recruiting tool. And we'll see an example of that in just a few minutes. Can you easily post jobs and add content? I'm still amazed how many staffing websites don't even have the ability for candidates to search jobs. And even more so, how many that do have the ability to search jobs, but those jobs aren't physically on the staffing company's website. They're housed in some other ATS where your website gets none of the SEO benefit of your jobs. And now everybody wants the ability to add content. You shouldn't have to call your web designer every single time you need to change a phone number or an address or add a new page to the site. You should be able to do that yourself. Is your website providing tools and resources that help your salespeople to sell more effectively? Is it being leveraged as part of the sales process in lead generation and in lead nurturing? Is it lowering your cost of recruiting by attracting candidates, which we talked about, but also by taking job information, packaging it, and sending it to other places that will drive people to your website, whether those other places are social media or job aggregators like Indeed and Simply Hired, things that you are able to post your jobs in multiple places at zero cost to fill job orders faster and with less cost per candidate. And we're not done yet. Does it keep visitors engaged? Do they visit just one page and disappear? Or do they stay on your site to visit multiple pages? Are they spending more than a few seconds on your website? Is the average visit measured in minutes, not seconds? Are you getting lots of repeat traffic? If you look at Google Analytics, and by the way, one that I don't have on this list, if you don't even know whether or not you are keeping visitors engaged and you don't know if you're getting repeat traffic because you're not looking at Google Analytics, that's another key that the website sucks. Because you want to be able to looking at those reports to say, are people coming back to our site? Staffing is not a business of one call closes. And while your sales team will continue to nurture relationships through the sales activities, and recruiters will do so through email and the telephone and LinkedIn, your website also should be generating lots of repeat traffic to help you build trust, improve familiarity, and make people want to do business with your firm. Here's something you're going to hear me say multiple times today. Does your website include strong calls to action? Throughout the site, on every single page, are you directing people what things you want them to do next and making it really easy for them to take the next step? Are you integrated with social media? And we're going to talk more later about how to integrate with social media, but it's more than just putting Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter icons on your homepage. Integration with social media is about driving people from social media to your site, sharing relevant content from your site into social media. Does it look great on every mobile device? I had somebody who asked me to review their site about 2 weeks ago, and the site was all done in Flash. Looks beautiful. Problem is if I pull it up on my iPhone, I see nothing. If I pull it up on my iPad, I see nothing. You're going to hear me talk later on about something called a responsive website, which is actually a site that adjusts to the design will adjust to the platform it's being displayed on to make it look great, whether somebody's using a tablet, a smartphone, or regular computer screen, whether it's a laptop or a desktop. And lastly, do you even know if your site's working? The vast majority of people we talk to in the staffing industry, they're so busy running their staffing business, they're not looking at their website analytics. They're not looking at the sales leads being generated. They're not looking at the cost per candidate the site is pulling in, or even what the sources of those candidates are. Your website can be one of your least cost salespeople. It can be one of your most productive recruiters, but you have to do a little bit of work to figure out what's working, what's not working, and make appropriate adjustments. And if you do the things we're going to talk about today, your website can produce some really dramatic results. Company we work with, you're going to see their site in a little bit, Adams and Garth. Built a new website a couple of years ago, has been regularly using a variety of the techniques we're going to look at today in terms of social media, blogging, email marketing, to increase average monthly traffic to their website by 540%. From social media alone, traffic has gone up by 250%. And from search engines, they're not getting traffic from 1 or 2 or 10 or 20 keywords. As of the first quarter of this year, they received traffic to their website from more than 3,000 different keyword phrases. Next one, QPS Companies, a site we designed a few years back. As soon as they took the site live, they saw a 250% increase in candidate applications and at least one new client finding their site, coming to them for services every single week. One that I mentioned just a moment ago, a company called Integrity Healthcare. The return on their recruiting investment from their website is double every other recruiting channel they're using, and this is to recruit physicians. And I'll show you a picture of this website in a little bit. A couple other examples. A company called Bayside Solution is doing about an average of 2 new blog posts per week, and we're going to talk more about blogging later, but they've seen traffic from search engines increase by 650% from 2 little blog posts a week. Another company, At Work Personnel, after just 1 month of blogging, search engine traffic increased by 100%. Another company that we did a website for, Prosperity Funding, they went from nowhere to being on page 1 of Google for the search term staffing funding in less than a month. The point is, with the right game plan, with the right strategy, your website can produce amazing results in terms of new sales leads, new candidates, faster fills for your job orders, more job orders coming in from your current clients, an improved perception of your company's service, better positioning, better resources to help your salespeople boost productivity, all as part of how your website is designed. But it all starts with having a killer strategy. Without a good strategy, you're not going to have a good site. So step 1 in thinking about your site is thinking about, well, what are we trying to accomplish? And on the screen you see a list of some of the things you might accomplish with your website. Your website really is your director of first impressions. You're going to have 10 or 100 or 1,000 or even 10,000 times more people visit your website than will ever visit your offices. You need to make the right impression. They're going to look at your website before they decide to apply for a job through your firm. They're going to look at your website either before they agree to meet with your salesperson or before that first meeting. If you don't send the right message about your firm and make it easy for people to get that message, they're not going to want to do business with you. Likewise, your website's got to do a great job of positioning you, demonstrating why people should choose you over the competition. And it's got to build credibility. If one of your differentiators is your great service, well, you've got to have credibility here, testimonials that support your service is truly exceptional. Diagrams that show how your service process works. Whatever you're stating in your positioning, your website has to back it up with proof, and that's where you build credibility. One of my favorite things to do on a website is education. There's so much opportunity to increase how much staffing gets sold by teaching people more about when, where, why, and how to use staffing services. Yes, every company understands what a temp is, and they know when they need fill-ins, they can call a staffing firm. Or they know if they have seasonal needs, they can call a staffing firm. But do they know that staffing might actually increase revenue when used to free up key personnel? It might result in lowering overall labor costs by hiring more people, by getting down the average labor cost per unit of output. You can use your website to teach people about the value of staffing services so that they'll want to use your business in new ways. You can also use it to enhance and streamline your service process and improve the experience for your customers, your clients, and your candidates so that it's easier for people to work with you any time of day or night. It's easy for them to get response. It's particularly for candidates, you can make it so that they can do more of the registration process through your website so they don't have to take more time out of their day to come in for an interview and the application. You can also use it to greatly enhance the experience somebody has in working with you and make the portals you provide to your clients or your candidates part of delivering an exceptional experience in terms of how you communicate with them, the information you provide, the timeliness of that information, the frequency of feedback. Your website can be used at every step of your service process to make that process better for clients and candidates. And lastly, and to a lot of companies, most importantly, your website is a tool for promotion and sales lead generation. So in terms of planning your site, you have to look at every one of these areas and say, do we have goals in every area? And if so, what specifically do we want to accomplish? Now, we're going to go through the steps in creating a killer website. And when we did this presentation 2.5 years ago, we talked about just 4 things: functionality, design, conversion, and promotion. Well, our list has gotten a lot bigger of things to look at. We're still going to talk about functionality, but now we're going to devote an entire section to just looking at content. Then we're going to look separately at structure, design. We're going to look at SEO, search engine optimization, social media. We're going to look at technology, and we're going to wrap up today's call with a brief discussion about budgeting. When it comes to maximizing the value of a staffing website, most people like to start at the end. Well, how do I get more people to come to my website? How do I promote the site better? But while promotion is essential, it's not the place you should start. If you really want to think about driving ROI, number 1 is, how are we going to give people a reason to visit? That's about content and functionality. Next, how are we going to make it easy for people to get around the site and make it so that they want to stay? That's about navigation and structure and design. Then we have to think about how we drive people to that site, and that's going to be about SEO and social media. And then lastly, we have to think about getting people to convert, giving people a reason to respond. And then what we're looking through there is offers, landing pages, and form design. And we'll talk about a little bit about all those things as well. Okay, so let's start at the top of the list with killer functionality. Take a look at your website through the eyes of a prospective client or candidate and ask yourself, what's in it for me? Your website has to deliver functionality that the visitor wants. That functionality can make it easier to do business with you. For example, I should be able to find your jobs really quickly if I'm a candidate. If I'm a client, I may want to not just find out about your company, but I may want to find out about status of my assignment. I may want to find out your areas of expertise or the backgrounds of the people I'm going to be working with. If you look at the picture on the screen here of First Staffing, you'll see a bar at the bottom right corner where we've got quick links to some of the most popular features: searching jobs, applying online, client and candidate resources. And then there's a series of sliders that are vertical on the page, so you can click any one of those. Our articles for candidates, our news and events, our blog, and the page moves right on the home page, so you can quickly get access to anything you want in the site right from the home page. That's killer functionality. Killer functionality reduces the cost of doing business. It helps deliver a wow experience. It reinforces your message. And you can see here on this picture, the graphics. We bring the best candidates into focus. The picture has one person in focus and a bunch of blurred out people in the background. Very obvious message, but we want the graphics to support the message to support your differentiation. And if you've got great functionality, it can make your site fun and memorable. And we'll see some examples of that in just a little bit. In terms of features, there's a lot you can do. I'm not going to read everything on the list here, and you have a handout that hopefully everybody's been able to download already. If not, there's a link that was right in the chat to get the slides from today's presentation. This one may be a little small to read, so if you need to get this, you can just email me and I'll send you this list and or our full staffing website features checklist. But just to kind of whet your appetite, on the client side, you can have that client extranet, which is the portal that gives people access to what you're doing for them from a staffing perspective. They can order online, whether it's done through a form, sample job descriptions they could download, or live chat function. They could get right online and use chat to talk to somebody at your firm. You can do education to teach them more about when, why, and how to use staffing. One of my favorites is dynamic content. Stuff that you can easily update, that as you're making changes, it's updating your website. So a blog is probably the most obvious example of dynamic content. Jobs are great dynamic content. But what I love about dynamic content is you can use it all over your website. So I might have a job board, and I can take an RSS feed of those jobs, and I can show just my hot jobs on the home page. Or when somebody goes to the candidate section of my website, I can feature those jobs as well. Maybe I'm using testimonials as another form of dynamic content. So every time we get great feedback from a client, we're updating the website, and that is pushing testimonials to appropriate pages throughout the website. It's all built into the technology, into the functionality, so you, as the person maintaining your site, you don't have to change things all over the place. You just enter your testimonials where they go, and it's dynamically updating other parts of your website. Interactive features like polls and surveys can also be a good way to get engagement with your audience. You just got to make sure you're asking questions that are really provocative, that will make people want to take the time to respond. And lead capture, absolutely essential, whether you're doing it on the client side or the candidate side. Getting people to somehow give you their contact info, opting into a newsletter, filling out a response form on a landing page to get some great content, signing up to attend a webinar like everybody here did to participate in today's Lunch with Haley. That lead capture fills your sales team with a funnel of people who are interested in the message your company says. On the candidate side, the biggest things that we're starting to see is mobile, mobile, mobile. We are seeing more and more candidates that want to be able to search your jobs from their smartphone. And guess what, folks? They can't do it. Most of the, if not all of the ATSs, don't have a mobile platform for the job seeker. They don't have a mobile apply online. We're seeing a lot of light industrial staffing firms where a smartphone is the family's internet access point. That's what they're using. They don't have the computer at home. They have a mobile device. So your website has to be able to display to them the content they need in a mobile format. And somebody has just asked me for the link to the webinar. Please check the chat window. It's in there, and if not, I will email you after the presentation. Let's take a look at content. Killer content clearly defines how you want to be seen. Content is about writing, and it's also about the specific topics on your site. Killer content tells a story. It's the story about your website and your company and why people would want to do business with you. It's not just we're ABC Staffing and these are the services we provide and this is why we're better than the competition. It tells it in a way that's very engaging. I've talked about education a couple of times. Educational content is some of the best content because your sales team can leverage it. And when we talk about social integration, having that educational content is 100% essential for good participation in social media. It adds value to your relationships with clients and prospects and candidates so that people who are doing business with you want to continue doing business with you. And people who have never done business with you, they see you as an expert. They see you as a thought leader or as somebody at least who is very knowledgeable about their industry, their types of hiring challenges, and how to use staffing intelligently. If you're constantly adding content to your site, it gives people a reason to come back, which will generate more sales leads. In terms of content, what we're really talking about here is great information and great writing. So what makes great information? Well, here's a list of ideas for you. How-to information, market data, like salary information, particularly local market salary information, or research that you've conducted. Statistics and charts that you are sharing, whether they're information you've created or information you've found. First-person success stories and case studies, when you've actually been able to document, hey, here's a company that had a specific challenge, here's the solution, and here's the result of that solution. Infographics, being able to tell a story with a big picture is great because not only does it add valuable information to your website, but people love to share infographics in social media. So they'll share it, particularly Pinterest is a phenomenal source for sharing infographics and a great source for driving blog traffic. But they can also share it through Facebook and through LinkedIn. And great information is not about marketing hype, it's about facts. If you're going to talk about your differentiators, don't just say, hey, we're wonderful. You want to say, our customers say we're wonderful, and here's the specific things we do differently that make them say we're wonderful. I saw an example of a recruiting firm's website. They worked in the clean energy business. They didn't have one word of copy on their website about their company that they had written. Every page of the website was a testimonial from multiple clients about their services, about their service process, about their recruiters, about working with their organization, about the jobs they place people in. It was absolutely fantastic because the entire site was written from the customers and the candidate's perspective. And likewise, the site has to have really great writing, strong opinions, lots of personality. Don't be boring. If you're one of our clients who's on the call today, and I'm picking on you, I apologize, but if you've asked us to be boring and corporate, your site's going to be boring and people won't remember it. Take a risk. Have some fun with the copy. You can still be serious. You can still be smart. You can still look professional, but you don't have to be dull and corporate. You want to show off your company's personality. Now, irreverent humor makes great content. It's not right for everybody. Sincerity is also great content. Telling real stories about real people. Clarity is essential. Short, to the point. Don't use any more words than you absolutely need. And the biggest thing is your website copy is not about you. Now, you may think I'm nuts there. Why would I create a website for my company that's not about me? Because your website is about your customer. It's about why they want to engage with you. It's about the problems they have and how they will find answers to those problems in your services. One of the rules of thumb that I like to use when I'm reading somebody's copy, I'll count the number of times it uses some derivation of the word we versus some derivation of the word you. I want to see at least 3 yous for every we. And typically it's the other way around. It's 5 or 7 we's to every 1 you. That's copy that's backwards. It's copy that's not going to be engaging to a reader. People are most interested in themselves. Your copy has to address the fact that they're interested in them. Structure. The basic rule on structure is it has to be simple. Keep it simple. Stupid is what you want to do. You want to make it so that all of the content is accessible with minimal numbers of clicks. And you have to consider different types of visitors. And I pulled up our website as an example because when we designed our site, we thought about 3 very distinct types of visitors. There's the person who's coming to us because they know they want a specific type of service or product from us. So across the bottom of the main box you see in the middle, we have websites, campaigns, identity, newsletter, strategy, major services we offer. Make it very quick to access those from those boxes, and also our services right at the top. But we have another visitor who says, you know what, I don't really know what I want. So on the right-hand side, we have tabs, find a service, find a solution. And if you don't know what you want, our find a solution section will actually ask some questions of you and then direct you to the right pages on the site. And then there's people who just come to us because they know we give away lots of goodies. So they come to us for our how-to tips and our freebies. So we have those at the top. We have those in the right bar, and we have those in our blog across the bottom. And the newest feature we added is we want you to become engaged with us. So when you come to the site, our Idea Club newsletter pops right up and invites you to join in, so you will be notified about our newsletters, our blog posts, our Lunch with Haley events, and if we have special offers on our services, you'll be notified of those too. And all done from the homepage because we've thought about the ways different types of visitors will use the site, and you want to think about that in your site as well. You also want to, as a designer, get kind of a bird's eye view on where your content is and how you can make it easy to get to. And we're going to talk about navigation in a minute, and I'll talk about some of the trends in terms of that are happening to change how navigation is done to make it easier to get deeper into complex site structures. So site structure can range from very simple, and one of the things we recommend is that people always do a diagram like this that just shows where are all the pages going to lie out within the site, to site structures that get crazy busy. And there can be lots and lots going on, and it gets even harder on the complex design when you have to show dynamic content. But this is where you really want to plan things out. Where are we linking from one page to another? Well, if we're going to use an RSS feed of our jobs, what pages are we going to call it in on versus where is it really going to sit? What are our calls to action? Are we going to drive people from one site to another? Are we going to do that with links, with sidebars, with buttons? When you're doing your structure, you think about how you're going to drive people through the site so it's easy for them to get from point A to point B. One of the things we'll often do is when it's a complex structure, we'll go back to the beginning and say, you know what, there's certain features we know will be most popular, so we better add in a quick link section so people can get right to any of those key features from the home page without having to navigate through the busy site structure. Design. This is my favorite part. This is the fun part of building a website. All the pretty stuff. Design is driven by your goals. You really need to make sure that your design reinforces your objectives in terms of response, your objectives in terms of positioning, and it matches the message you're trying to send. You want the design to be clean, to be clean and intuitive so people immediately know what to do. The pictures support the story. You want calls to action to be very visual, whether it's done with buttons, large fonts, colors, pictures, something that really catches the eye so people know what to do next. And then you want the site to be responsive. And when we get to technology, I'll talk more about responsive design. The sample you see on the screen here, a company called Talent Hog had a new way to go about recruiting people. They wanted a site that had a very clear value proposition, great candidates, 48-hour results, and possible prices, and then two things you could look at, resume sourcing or full-service recruiting. If you're visiting the site for the first time, you know what they do, you know exactly what to do next to get more information. But they also said, well, what if you're just coming here because you're looking to hire and we want to capture you as a visitor? So in the bottom right corner, they've got an ebook, How to Hire a Superstar, which people can just click that little blue link, download now, put in their contact information, and they can instantly get that ebook. Bottom left corner, now for those people who need a little more detail and like to read a little more of the text, there's an introduction to what they do for different types of audiences. So an overview of their services, what they do for HR professionals, for small business owners, how they can save people money, the secret to how their process works, the industries they specialize in, and a page to learn more. And every one of those drives you deeper into the website to the appropriate content based on your interests. Let's look at some more examples of design. Here's a company that we've worked with, that professional staffing firm wanted to have a very clean, clear look to their site, needed to have that strong professional image, but we also had a bunch of things to drive response right away. We had quick links to a number of things that they do here on the left side. We had the ability to have live help, so if somebody wants to chat immediately, they can get response without having to pick up the phone or do anything additional. We also have a newsletter sign-up so people can get up-to-date information on the latest trends in the industries this company serves. And then the traditional simple navigation about the company, the specialties, resources, contact us. Very simplified navigation so it's easy to get to what this company does. Now, here's a completely different design. And I guess the old adage, a picture is worth more than 1,000 words. I love this site because of its bold images. And when you're on the homepage of this site, LGS Staffing, you'll see it cycles through a series of very large graphics, that very strong message, and it tells a quick story in 3 pictures. But the key to this site was picking bold imagery that really would get your attention. You'll notice there's almost no text on this page. Why? There's a lot of text on the subpages to attract search engines, but the home page was really about attracting the human being who's visiting the site with a strong look. I also want to point something out. When it comes to imagery, there's lots of different ways you can go. Most commonly, you're going to use stock photography, meaning we're picking images out of a library that we license pictures from. And the one we use has 14, 15 million different photographs in it, so we can pick stuff out for every client. But every different type of image comes with pros and cons. When we use stock photography, the pro is it's the cheapest. In fact, when we build a website for our clients, we don't even charge for those images because we've already paid for the annual license to our subscription service. Those are the least expensive images. Then you can get rights managed images, which are also stock photography, but they're more limited usage. And we had one client who didn't know that their previous website had been built with rights managed imagery, and when they went to build a new website and marketing collateral, they weren't allowed to use those images without coughing up another $3,000 fee just for the photos. They weren't happy. But rights managed, you tend to get images that are a little less widely distributed and therefore a little more unique to your firm, but you do pay a price for it. The next level would be to have original photography done, which is the best thing if you want pictures of your building, your local community, your office staff. It doesn't have to be very expensive for those kinds of shots. If you need staged shots in a professional studio and you need a lot of retouching, image retouching can get very costly. There's amazing things that we can do when we're changing pictures, but they're very time-consuming processes to edit images. And just be aware, the royalty-free is the cheapest, the rights managed is the next, and then the original illustration, original photography, or retouched imagery is the most expensive route to go. Here's another site, Creative Services Staffing. I like this particular one because they took their references and turned them into dynamic content right on the homepage. So as they're getting new testimonials, they add it into a section on their website, and their homepage is constantly changing with new endorsements. They've got clear directions for employers and job seekers, then a nice mix between color and black and white to create a very attractive interface. And then the area where it says creative at the top is actually a slideshow that tells a story as it goes through a number of images and different phrases. Here's probably one of the most complicated sites we've ever built. What I want to highlight about this site is it's got some really cool programming. So if you want to see, I can't show that all over a GoToWebinar, unfortunately, so you could visit this Lakeshore website after the call. But I wanted to show the dynamic content here. We're bringing in specifically hot jobs is one of the first things you see. We're integrating videos. We've got a live chat feature. We've got social media integration. We've got integration with their staffing software for timesheet approval. And this thing, you can kind of see a grayed out page to the right. All of the navigation occurs within one panel. You literally are walking down this beach as you're going through their main navigation options. And yes, at the top you can even choose the background. If you don't particularly like this beach, you could pick a different one. Another example, here's a company that had the challenge of saying, well, we've got different divisions that do different things, but we want to tie it all together under one brand. So we wanted to mostly focus on what they could do for employers and job seekers, and so that's where your eye is going to go on the page. We've got dynamic content on the right in their blog, but then each of their divisions is up here at the upper left, so you can go straight to a section of the site about those specific types of services they offer. This company did a couple of other things that I liked. They're affiliated with a lot of organizations, and when you're affiliated, it's great to show off what you're a member of. So they did that with all of the logos right on their homepage. And then below that, you'll see some kind of unusual links with text. We call these SEO footers, where we'll take common search terms that people might be looking for, and we'll tie them into the bottom of different pages on the website and use them as internal links within the website, which has a benefit for search engine optimization. Next site, very fun design. We went to a totally different style of imagery here, one that really fit this company's personality. It's a combination of photos and hand-done drawings. And then we use the photos and the hand-done drawings to kind of tell their story. And even this section here with all these green bubbles, as you roll over them, they turn orange to answer the questions that are asked. Again, we've got dynamic content from their blog posts and their latest news. We've got a newsletter sign up with a graphic to call your eye to it. And then, for job seekers, we took something, we made it stand out in a different part of the page, a little bit off balance by not putting it just in the white area, and added it as a blue tab. So if you're looking for a job, we'll pull you right to that section of the homepage to get you to take action there. Another nice example, clean, simple navigation across the top. Now this company has a bunch of different specialties, so they had a lot of things to feature in one area, so we kind of did it very simply with the top navigation, and then the featured divisions right below the main graphic. Again, we're using dynamic content for both jobs and blog posts. And then they've got something unique here. Download our IT hiring guide. They're doing a lead capture page or a landing page where they're offering this IT hiring guide that people can get for free just by clicking a link and heading on over and providing contact information. And likewise, we're doing some SEO footers on this site to illustrate some of the company's specialties and specific types of IT solutions. You do industrial staffing? You want to make it clear you do industrial staffing. Here's a company that makes it really obvious what they specialize in. You don't have to read a single word to know what this company does. Simple message, simple graphics, Not a lot of text, and even the main navigations, employers, job seekers, search jobs. Really easy to know what to do just by using bold imagery in the design. Another good example of bold imagery, but a totally different feel. This is a company that thought about the audience it wants to appeal to, and we're looking at a subpage on PeopleLink's website, but they chose a particular style of model. These are stock photos, but they chose a particular style of model that they wanted to use that would match what they felt was the personality of the job seeker they're trying to reach. And then the navigation itself just has a translucent box to lay over the picture with really big, bold words to tell you what to do next. Company that we mentioned earlier, Adams and Garth. This is the site they launched that resulted in a 540% increase in traffic. A couple of the things that I like about this site. Number one, here's an example of the quick links. They know they have a bunch of features that people are regularly going to want to access. So whatever you're looking for something on their site as a repeat visitor, you can immediately go to their HR resources, their job seeker resources, their blog, get their brochure, opt in for the newsletter, go to their timekeeping software, or to their resume services. Again, very simple, very clear, easy direction, and a lot of SEO was done, search engine optimization was done in the way the copy was written. So you'll even see Central Virginia's leading staffing and executive search firm. Why Central Virginia? Well, that's the geographic market they serve, and they know people are going to be searching for staffing firms in Central Virginia. When I talked about recruiting physicians, I told you I'd show you an example of a site that was proving to be very effective for recruiting physicians. This is it. Another example, clean, simple navigation. Dynamic content with jobs being pulled onto the homepage of the website. Multiple ways to contact them. Phone number, researching the jobs. And what I really like is they have this little flyout bar at the bottom, and because this is just a picture, you can't see it working. But after you've been on the site for about 5 seconds, the flyout bar pops up, and it invites people to refer their friends for a chance to earn an iPad, and they just click the button to learn more, and they can submit referrals. We're seeing more and more the use of JavaScript programming, which I'll talk about in technology a little bit, but creating dynamic elements, interactive elements on sites to try to drive people as they're reading to take the next step. Okay, we're going to move on from design to search engine optimization. SEO is a lot of work. It has to be very well planned and researched. One of the biggest mistakes people make with search engine optimization is they try to do it one time and think it's going to last. And Google has had 2 major updates in the last 12 months. They actually do about 600 or 700 different updates a year. So anybody who tells you they know exactly how Google's ranking keywords, they're not telling you the truth. Google does not tell anybody how they do it, but some of the general practices they do make known. And the things that they value most are fresh content and original content. So as you are continually adding information to your website, you are helping your site to be better optimized. I mentioned at the beginning of the presentation that SEO is not just about ranking for specific terms. While that can be important, it's about your total traffic volume. Adams and Garth is getting traffic from more than 3,000 different search terms. If they had focused only on getting traffic from the top 5 or 10 they might have thought of, they would have missed the